Hello, everyone. This is Tammy Fisher within the Doll World, and I'm here today with my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Georgette Taylor.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, everybody.
Yes.
Hello, Miss Georgette. And today we're excited to introduce you to Vanessa Lee, who also goes by the name of V. That's what most people know her by. And she is the owner of Angel Doll Company. She creates wonderful dolls,
Beautiful.
and we're excited to have her today to speak with us about her journey. So, hey there, V.
Hello, V.
Hey, ladies. Hi, Georgette. Hi,
Hey.
Tammy. So good to
Hey.
see you.
Yeah,
See you
it's really so
too.
good to see you. I'm so excited that you're here on the show with us today.
Definitely.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. You're one of those people. I've been looking at your dolls for a good while, for years. So I'm happy to see your babies.
I got my wine. It wouldn't be a video without it.
As I said, me and Tammy doing this all wrong, just so you know.
Exactly. We need to start.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm just really grateful for the invite. Absolutely.
And we're honored to have you here.
Yes, we truly are. We really are.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. So, Vanessa, we're going to get started where we start, and that is, please tell us about your doll journey. Tell us how it began and how you ended up here with us, blessing us with your doll journey today.
Oh, thank you so much, Tammy. I started making dolls in 2000, like end of 2012, 2013. I never even knew that making dolls was something that people did. I don't know why I didn't think that, but I have a huge doll collection. I'm an avid doll collector. I love dolls of all styles, materials, mediums, but it never dawned on me to make my own. So one day I was walking, I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we have an art district here where people they're usually like painting, a few sculptures, not really, a lot of fine dining areas, just like this little bitty hub, very popular. And there happened to be a doll gallery. And of course I was like, I have to see this gallery. And the work there was phenomenal.
Wow.
It was run by this man named Mark Dennis. Now, as an avid doll collector, as you know, each collector has its own genre that they kind of fall into. And I am a play with my doll type of art doll person. So if I can't play with it, I don't understand why I would buy it. That was just me. So I would focus on the doll artists that I could like dress them, make clothes, take pictures and all this of their work. So when I met him, I wasn't quite familiar with him, and his name is Mark Dennis. And so my friend and I go into this doll gallery, and he says, and his work was amazing. I had never seen anything like it. And the way he sculpted Black women, African women, brown women, I was just like, who is this person? You know, they captured those features. So my friend, she said, see if he'll teach you to sculpt. I was like, what? And I was like, why not? So I asked him, and he said, yeah, I'll teach you. But he wasn't that convinced, and I did not care. I was like, so when are we scheduling? I will not be deterred. I'm like, I see an opportunity and I'm not gonna miss it.
Right.
So he agreed to teach me, and he taught me for 1.5 years every week until the end of his lease. He brought me into the doll world, the doll art world, and I kind of say that he birthed me into it. And because he actually took me under his wing and birthed me in, it really fast-tracked my career in a way that I probably wouldn't have been able to do. So that was, I really started taking flight probably like 2013. But until I met him, I had never seen a bar of clay, held a knife, didn't know sculpting or anything like that. And I loved it so much that I knew this was what I was born to do. So I started out in academics. I was an artist in my little town called Barberton, Ohio. And we would have little art competitions with children, you know, and I would win all the time. So I thought I was the bee's knees. I was like, I got this art thing. What else can we do? Until I got to college. I was like, not even at the top of the food chain. I'm not even in the middle. Ladies, I wasn't even in the middle. I was at the bottom. And I was just like, I think I gotta reevaluate this art thing. And
Did you go to school for
think about something else, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, did you go to school to be an artist? Was that how it started?
When I started out doing art classes, and I took ballet, and had taken all these fun classes in fine arts. But when I compared myself to the other artists, I was just like, there's no way. I cannot afford to be a starving artist. I need to eat. That was not sexy to me. That wasn't appealing to me at all. And,
I can see that not being sexy.
Right? Like this fantasy of living in Paris and starving, trying to sell a painting was not something in my vision. I couldn't see it working out quite for me. So, so I was just like, nah, guys, I'm gonna have to use the other side of me, because when I compared myself, and this is probably where I went wrong, when I compared myself to the other artists, instead of having the inner strength to step my game up, I actually kind of quit. And I say, like, is if they're producing that and I'm down here, how am I going to compete with the rest of real art professionals? And so I decided at that time I was going to focus more with my academics. And I ended up at that time getting my bachelor's degree in social work. And then I went and got my master's in social work. And then I ended up doing 2 years in my doctorate in clinical psychology, and then ended up finishing my doctorate in counseling until 2009. So I stayed the academic track. So that was something I was good at. It didn't take a lot of faith. It didn't take a lot of, for me, it didn't take as much effort, because it was just as easy, but it gave me the confidence like that I can do, and I can kind of control it. And so I went that route until I met Mark Dennis. And so when I met Mark Dennis, he kind of shook my world, like, I gotta try. I feel like this is my last chance. I gotta try. So
and we're happy you tried.
I had to. And I happened to have, at the time, I was a therapist. I had my own private practice. It was pretty big practice for me. I had so many patients that I had to either start hiring more therapists, or I needed to make a waiting list or stop making schedules. So, and that's when I decided to just stop taking more patients. And so it took me about a year to close my practice.
Wow. I was going to ask you, how long did it take for you to transition from your practice into making dolls? So that was a year?
It was so hard, Georgette. It was so hard. It was hard on a lot of levels, because I knew that I was good at it. I knew that I was blessing people and helping people grow. And it was that inner part of me, like, is that selfish to take that away from people in need and do something that I really don't know how this is going to work out? And so I think that's where my faith kicked in and say, are you going to give yourself a chance and just genuinely step out and trust God?
Yeah, that's great.
I can see that.
That's a great story. Yeah.
Thank you.
Plus, I think going into the other space kind of made you a little bit more vulnerable than you would normally be, because where you came from or what you were doing, you knew like at the back of your hand. So I think that also breeds confidence. But when you step into something else that you don't know, the confidence is really not there. So I think it probably made you feel a little bit more vulnerable, which probably made you doubt, should I be doing this? I can understand.
I'll take a drink to that.
Yes. I will too, but next time I'm gonna have to pass the glass. That's what I'm watching.
So I have a question for you about therapy and art. Did you combine the two? Because there are people who do the art and therapy together. They do the play therapy.
That's a great question. When I made that transition, I switched over completely. But I look at it in a different perspective. When I have my art, I look at my artwork today, whether I'm painting reborn babies or sculpting my silicone dolls. That is something that is, everything I do is meant to create healing and comfort and peace for that collector who happens to be the one. So when I'm painting or I'm sculpting and I'm molding and I'm casting, and I know that this particular doll is for somebody specific, whether I know them or not. And that when they acquire this baby or this doll, it's going to bring them a great peace and healing, as if I was in the office. So it's almost like a transference.
Okay.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
We interviewed someone else who was in that space, and that was her aunt is
a healer.
A healer. Yeah, she's an indigenous healer. And I think it was when COVID started, she couldn't get out to be with people. People couldn't be spending time with her. So she started making dolls of her aunt that people could send out to people for, so they can experience healing through this doll and their interaction with her. That's cool. Yeah,
it really is. And with my medium, I specialize with silicone doll art. That's my personal medium. It's very complicated to do. It's very different and a little bit more difficult than, in my own biased way, most other mediums. I'm gonna say that. It's very challenging.
So you sculpt with the silicone?
Well, no, what you do is you create the sculpture from clay.
Okay.
And then you create a mold. I hand create a mold out of silicone. And then I hand cast it in silicone, which is another step. And then I paint them. And then I root the hair, make the clothes. Like every single step other than shoes at this point is all hand done.
Wow. That reminds me of Nomi's process.
Yes.
I saw her make a baby.
Yes.
And that's where she was putting the, getting ready to do the casting of the baby. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Nomi and I use the same medium. She's very, very talented. She's a great friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's really sweet. And that medium, she's wonderful. There's not a lot of people who can do it with excellence. And that's what I strive, is to always do everything with excellence, which is why a lot of silicone artists we don't make a lot of dolls, because the process is so strenuous and it's so lengthy, and there's so many opportunities to mess up. And it doesn't even have to be any fault of your own. So I love the fact that Nomi is making videos as well. Not only does it market my work, but it also educates people on the process of how difficult it is. And it could be when you look at the prices and people are like, what? You don't have to pay what? It's like, but you think if you have $300 worth of silicone and one thing goes wrong, you've lost the whole thing. Wow. And that is just not.
And that's your mold.
That could be the mold. It could be casting. It could be, you mess up, you go through the whole process and you mess up the painting, which is also done in silicone. Silicone is the only medium that only adheres to silicone. It will only connect to silicone. So once you get to that silicone portion of the doll, everything is in silicone if you want it to stay.
So the paint that you use on silicone dolls is a silicone paint?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yes. And that's a whole different technique. Right now, I'm making a doll that I'm taking my collectors on the journey with me and just showing them through either my pictures or the videos that I do Facebook Live. I love making Facebook Live videos. It's called Sculpting with V. And it's almost like a little wink at Bob Ross. It's like, I used to Bob Ross, and he'd be like, oh my gosh, he put a line right there, you messed it up. And then it turned into a beautiful tree. He was like, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's what I'm hoping. So I'm hoping to encourage more collectors to start sculpting with me. Know that you can sculpt too, kind of like Bob Ross, like you can paint. It's like you can sculpt.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's what he says.
Right?
I still don't feel like I'm
gonna have to pick my hair out.
Yeah.
Watch your videos of the sculpt.
Exactly.
And my big Bob Ross afro.
Just some Bob Ross afro painting, sculpting with V. Get your little clay out. Even if it doesn't do much, that's okay. That's okay. Have a little Mayan Indian, you know, with the big ears. That's okay. It's yours. Bake it, call it a day. You're good. It's good.
Good.
I
That's
love it.
good.
Yeah.
love
That
it.
is great. That's
Yeah.
great. And so are your classes free? People just come to your site and take them, or they?
Yeah, what I do is I go
watch it? Okay.
Facebook Live. I do
Mhm.
Facebook Live. So if you are, and my page is public, you know, my
Mhm.
private page is Vanessa Lee is
Mhm.
public. So you don't have
Okay.
to technically be a friend.
Mhm.
A lot of Facebook only allows you 5,000 friends. And
Yes.
so I'm trying to acquire more European friends with French and Palestinian, you know, Middle Eastern friends and Indian friends. So I'm trying to get a more international friend base. So I've capped it. I think I'm at 2,800.
Mhm.
Most of them are American friends, but I'm trying to make sure I keep more space for my international friends.
Now, are your Facebook Lives, are they recorded onto your page? I mean, if someone missed them, okay, so they can go to the page and get the
great.
past ones. Oh, yeah.
That is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, very nice.
And it'd be funny. Then you can watch the old ones when I was like, the video was messed up and I was dropping stuff. Like,
and it's cockeyed.
we understand that. Sometimes we feel,
Exactly.
sometimes we feel our new ones are still the old ones, so it's okay.
Exactly. Yes. But I love it. I love sharing what I do with people. I don't sell my classes. I'm open to people just learning. I believe that if we don't teach, then it's a lost art. And it's an art that's so passionate to me that I don't want it to be lost, that I'm willing to give it away. And but private classes, I do have a gallery in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's 45 North Market Street in Lancaster. And I do private classes there. So those people do pay for.
Right.
Okay.
Understand that.
I don't advertise those because I'm so enjoying making dolls. I enjoy making dolls a lot, that I don't teach as often as some of the other artists.
Okay. When we were looking over your bio, you talked about as a child having the freedom to express yourself with art, just do whatever you want to. Can you talk about that? Because I think that that's really important for people who are looking at becoming artists.
Yeah, thank you for that. I have to tell you, I was blessed to have a mom who was so, I think because she was so abstract personality in herself, like there was so much freedom. There was this range of freedom in every area that there really weren't any limits. I think it was just a gift from God that I just was a good kid. Do you know what I mean? Because it could have gone any way. And whether it was me adopting a gang of animals, because I thought about being a veterinarian, one time. And I'd have a turtle and a dove and a cat and some hamsters, and the cat ate the hamsters. And I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like, oh no.
Oh, McDonald had fun.
That's so funny.
She was just amazing. She would just let me do whatever. And the only thing her only thing was, you can do it if you can earn the money to do it yourself.
Okay. So she started you off on an entrepreneurial journey.
She really did. She really did. I had to figure it out. And I learned at an early age with sexism. See, because I grew up in a little town called Barberton, Ohio. And in Barberton, it's a little blue collar town. It's not very, people are not very wealthy. They work factory jobs. They're hardworking people. And it's predominantly Black or white. The interesting about this culture was I didn't grow up with racism, like at all. We were all friends. We had slumber parties. We all hung out. We had like one guy that was across the street from us who was considered racist, and everybody knew it. And they were like, oh, stay away from him. But yet I was still friends with his wife, and I babysit his kids. So it still wasn't this stuff that I saw, actively see, even though it was relevant. It happens. It still happens, but I didn't see it.
Right.
Racism for me growing up was something like when you watch like the 1950 documentaries and you're like, what? what is
Right,
that?
right.
It was that for me. So growing up in this little town, that wasn't the issue for me. The issue for me was sexism because I was a girl and I wasn't allowed to have the same opportunities as my little brother.
Okay.
And so with needing to earn money to take care of my pets or buy art supplies or do these things that I wanted to do, I had to earn money. So I would rake leaves or shovel snow, and nobody would hire me because I was a girl.
Oh.
So what I did was I bring my brother. He's like 3 years younger than me. And he's this little chubby thing, you know, with this big bright yellow face, you know, and I'd be like, okay, you just stand there. He was my front man.
Man.
And you know, I said, hold them up, hold the shovels high so they can see them. They know you're gonna shovel.
Now,
You learned marketing early.
V, did you pay him? Did you
He
give him
got
some
moving.
money?
He got
Okay,
moving.
good.
You
That's
know,
all.
Really
Okay,
wasn't
good.
doing the work though, Georgette. He didn't do that work. That was me. He's like, I got you the job. I'm gonna pretend. He's like, he was doing me a favor by showing up. I was grateful though. I was grateful. He came. So
That is so funny.
Don't you go to
Right.
neighbor's house and knock and say, can you give us some cocoa? Because it's so cold out here. I'm gonna hold your cocoa, sister.
Exactly. Right. And see, the jobs for me, they like, oh, you know, he can do it, but you can come wash the dishes. You can come in and wash our clothes and fold and put away. And I'm like, I'm not coming in your house. I don't know you. So I can get abducted and I get out. Are you kidding me? He gets freedom and I get abducted? No. So I was like, no, I have to help him. I have to help him. So I go, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? Because it's just one, he's a little chubby little thing, just as cute as you want to know it. So I realized I needed a front man to make the money. And then, so the money that I would make, now I live with my stepdad and with my mom and my stepdad, and he raised Oscar fish. And so he gave me a middle-sized tank one time. And I learned that Oscar fish will grow to the size of the tank. So I had a little bowl, a little goldfish bowl. So I start out there. They cost me a couple bucks. So from shoveling snow or raking leaves, whatever I was hustling around the neighborhood, I buy a little Oscar and then I move them to the tank and I make them grow. Well, once they got bigger, then I can barter. I bartered with the pet store guy to get the pet food to take care of my pets. And then I just
so you would barter, so you would trade in fish?
I trade in fish to the pet store owner for pet food.
Wow.
And pet supplies for my animals.
Look
so that's
at
how
you.
Exactly.
Look at you. Very
it's
cool.
good. So that's how I started. I guess I always had that entrepreneurial mindset and learning how to navigate as a girl in this dominant masculine male world.
Right.
Even like I played football and then the dads were like, I don't want my kids playing with her anymore. I don't want my sons playing with her anymore. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right, we got to figure out a different way.
Yeah.
So.
And that's beautiful. Because your story is really empowering.
Yeah.
Because so many people, you know, you hit a wall. And well, you started that way. I mean, not started that way, but when you went to university, you hit that wall and and a lot of people do that. And is that good or bad? It's what happens. You know, it's just what you do. And it's good that you learned as a kid that your options aren't just, you know, go hit the wall and it's like, okay, I got to go do something else. It's like, wait a minute, I got another option here. Let's see if we can figure out how to do this. And that's really cool. That's a great skill to have and to learn it so young that will benefit you the rest of your life.
You know, it's so funny that you said that because I think it benefited her when she started doing dolls because at the end of the day, that was another wall that you could have hit, you know, trying to create something that you were not comfortable in. You had no clue. And instead of just giving up, you were tenacious enough to stay with it, you know, and know that you can overcome that. And I don't think that would have happened if you didn't have that. If you didn't have that particular foundation or that start, you know?
Yes, thank you for that, ladies. It's so true. Art is, you really, and people say it all the time, but it's absolutely the truth. You must imperative to be confident in your work, know who you are, and be happy with you and what you produce on the level where you were at. And that has to be okay, because if you get distracted looking around you, you're going to give up, just like I did in college. I looked around instead of saying, okay, you got 2 options, actually 3, and I took the third. You can work harder and step up. You can stay complacent and not really care and be okay with where you are and plateau, or you can give up. And I chose to give up. And everybody's journey is different, and it's okay that I gave up, because it pushes me to work harder. It pushes me to work so much harder. So every time when my hands are hurting, because I've sculpted, I sculpt every day.
Wow.
I sculpt every day. I fall asleep with clay in my hands. My poor husband, he's like, is that a knife? Can you get your hands? Can you get your, ma'am. Because I'm falling asleep.
Can you put the knife away before we go to bed?
Right?
Don't roll over and stab me.
I'll roll over. Exactly. Right. And because I feel like, because that happened, yes, yeah, I have a PhD. That's fine. However, that does not benefit me in this world. In this world, according to me, I'm late. I'm late. So I have to catch up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see you saying that, but from my vantage point, I see that it benefited you greatly. And the reason for that is you sculpt dolls because you want to bless someone else. When we talked earlier, I can't remember if we talked about it during the interview or not, but before the interview, you were saying, I don't make dolls to make money. You know, I like making the money, and that's cool, but that's not my motivation.
Right.
My motivation is to bless other people. And I would think that the journey that it took you to get this psychology degree, or degrees, because you ended up with a doctorate, that journey has to be part of this.
Yes,
I don't think that we have these. We are a combination of all of our experiences, and to spend that much time on that journey has to show up in this journey. It has to be part of it.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I totally believe that, Tammy. That's so true.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you make some dolls that are very different looking. You want to talk to us about those babies?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about those.
Yes.
Yes.
Like your little kids.
I love kids. I'll show you this one. This is from my latest collection. This is Shades of Me. She's my little dark brown one. And
little cheeks.
Thank you. I love sculpting children. I love children. I think that they are so angelic, you know, hence the Angel Doll Company name. The way that the name came about, and the whole thing was, my daughter, who was a baby, she was little at the time, and this was when I was in the office with my patients, and I was working on notes, you know, because when you work for yourself, you're never not working. And so we were laying in bed, and I was writing some notes, and she said, "Mom, what do angels look like?" And I hardly paid attention. And then I was like, "Oh, they're beautiful, this, that, and the other." Well, to make a long story short, she said, "Do I have an angel?" And that's what caught my attention.
Wow.
And I told her, I said, absolutely. Absolutely. I said, you know, I told her, I said, angels, you know, they're there to comfort you and to give you peace, and, you know, to know you're not alone. And that's what, when I started sculpting, I knew that I wanted to make angels. And to me, children are angels. And they come in a variety of looks and cultures and colors. And so I like to do all cultures of children. And you're probably referring to my albino collection, World Without Color.
Yeah, the World Without Color. Yes. Yes.
Love that one. And I'm still, because my process is so personal, So I still make World Without Color dolls.
Okay.
I still make those, and now I'm doing the Shades of Me, and
Nice.
that collection. All of my collections come from something personal with me. So, for example, the World Without Color collection, and the little albino collection came up. This was my wink against racism, and this was wanted to give him an African look, an African face,
Right.
but take the color out of him, you know, as well with my my Victoria, who is my little white girl, and my Violet and my Vi. So that way, because without color, we really are the same. Like, we wouldn't even notice the difference if we didn't have shades of color. So I love creating something personal and then touching other people in a way, and then putting them in a child form.
Right. Now, okay, so I understand the reason of doing that, but why did that spur you on? Like, what spurred you on to do that, to create those World Without Colors? Yes.
I was watching, that's a great question. I was watching on Facebook, there was these videos of this guy who was doing interviews with special needs children. And he did an interview with this little Asian girl who was albino, and she was adopted by a white family. And they picked her because she was so loving and so joyful, even in such a bleak environment, being adopted from this orphanage in China. And I'm telling you, that little girl's light and joy radiated through that video. And then I saw another one where it was other albino children, and the joy just being them. I was just like, I love it. I love it. I need to take it and keep going with it and share with collectors how beautiful albino children are and how they're so angelic to me. And it just fits perfectly with the theme of being an angel doll.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering where it came from.
I grew up with a young lady who was albino, but she didn't move into our neighborhood until I think it was late elementary. I don't think it was junior high. And it was really interesting because we are at that age, you're old enough to understand there's something different about this person. And I don't know if she's told us, what was different. And she also, her eyes shifted. That happens sometimes. And, she just, I think it was like kind of weird in the beginning. It's like, who is this kid? Why she look?
Yeah, especially as a kid, you're going to want to know. Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh,
she's just a kid, right? Yeah, exactly.
And it's like you said, it's really interesting because she was an African American albino, so she had hair like ours, and she had the beautiful full features that we have. They were just lighter, but she's just one of us,
Yes.
And that's one of the beauties of being a kid. She's like, she's just like, let's go play.
Let's go play. Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's go play.
Yes. And that's what I love about, I love the Black American culture. I talk a lot about it to my audience because I do have an international audience. And what I found is that seemingly to them, our culture is very insulated and they don't know a lot about the Black American culture. So I use my art to express to them who we are. And therefore my Shades of Me is a variety of colors. Even though my little light-skinned girl, I make sure she has an afro because she's Black. Even though they're like, is she? I'm like, no, she's Black. You can't, that's the point. That's the point.
Right.
You know?
So let me ask you, what made you, because there are dolls out there, that represent all different complexions of African-American, culture. What made you decide to do the Shades Like Me from your perspective? Why was that important for you? And what was the catalyst, behind you creating those dolls?
That's a great question. I think I've always strived to share with my collectors of all cultures that Black Americans, we come in all varieties of shades and hair textures and eye colors, and it doesn't negate the fact that we're Black American and we're proud to be Black American. And Shades of Me, I was practicing the different shades in the same sculpture. So when collectors buy my work, you're technically buying that sculpture, because it can be an array of what it ends up to being based on the inspiration and what I'm looking to do with it. And so that's why I sell each doll individually. So there's no limited edition of this, limited edition of that. No, that is a unique individual piece made from that sculpture. So I used to limit myself, but I don't limit myself anymore, because I may decide to pick that sculpture up again because I like it, right?
Okay.
And I have the mold, so I can do that. So when I'm sharing myself, this collection called Shades of Me, I'm sharing me in a different way that I see myself, in different lighting or the different day. Because sometimes, depending on the lighting, I'm a little lighter. Sometimes I'm really dark, and I love every bit of it.
It's so funny, because that's how I feel about me sometimes. I'll see pictures of me and I'm like, wow, I'm really light, or I have friends who literally, I have friends who tell me, oh, you're so light. And I'm like, I don't, and my father's light, he's very light. He's very on the high spectrum of light. Okay.
I hear you.
In the Black community. So I never see myself that way. You know what I mean? I just, and I guess, like you said, it really just depends on who is looking at you, what they see. And sometimes, how you do see yourself. So I do get that. Yeah. Interesting. Yes. Very cool.
And I love the collectors, the feedback that I've gotten from this most latest collection, Shades of Me. The feedback that I've gotten from collectors, like initially they thought Shades of Me was, they saw themselves. And I thought, beautiful. You can't. That's what I love about art.
Yeah.
I love art. You just don't know what's going to come of the goodness,
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Right, because you have a thought and you put it out there, but how people perceive it or the energy that they get back from it, your artwork shows up differently.
Yes, that interpretation.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is a real artist. When you can make somebody feel something and move and discuss it and question it, when they're standing at a museum and they want to sit back and go, that's an artist. That's an artist.
Feel something.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad.
Right.
The stronger the feeling, the better the piece of art. That's how I feel about it.
Yes.
Somebody hates your art, it's like, oh, I was successful. They felt something.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I've had my share of cuts outs. It's all right. I said, you feel something? Okay, we're good.
I did a good job. And one of the things that you spoke about that I think is very interesting, and that's having the international audience. I think that that's really cool that you have opened your space up to these different people, because it's a blessing for them to get a chance to interact with you, and for them to get a chance to see who we are, what we do, how we strive, how we're successful.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and it's really interesting that just the conversations that you have and overcoming stereotypes, like I said, because in the media, and it is much better now, but I just think that that's so important with our story and who we are, to live amongst others and to share the variety and the beauty of who we are.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and you are absolutely right. And like you, it's so important to me to educate the world to who we are as a people. And I know a lot of times, Black Americans, or African Americans, we, a lot of times some people like, I don't want to be a representative. It's too much pressure. I don't, want to carry that torch or whatever. For me personally, I don't mind, and I welcome it, because if not me, then who? Because if we only have so many, you can only reach so many people at you're only one person.
Right.
And when I share with my international friends, I'm like, you do know we only make up 12% of the population. do you know how miraculous that is? That there's this many African Americans who are doing these amazing things, and we're only 12%, you know, and America as a whole has done an amazing job with marketing us as a people of inferiority to the world.
Yes.
And if I have an opportunity, just one person at a time, to dispel that myth of misrepresentation, and I'm going to be bold to say, and evil, because I think it's evil, to do that to human beings. I'm gonna take the time to educate one person at a time if I get the opportunity, God willing. So I do share with them what a beautiful culture we are, and that if I can change your mind, even if it's just a moment, to where at least it makes you question what you're seeing, then I've done enough, like planted seeds. Right. Even if it's just for a moment, then it'll go on to the next one and keep going to the next one. I was a big advocate for the Black Lives Matter movement. I still am. I still talk about it. Right. I got a lot of backlash for it. Don't care. Still talking about it. Because I truly believe that my children and my legacy's lives depend on it, and I'm not gonna let it go.
But I think the thing about being in a position where you have international people, you know, community who loves your work, and you get a chance to speak to them on a regular basis. I think what's so important is that you get to show them that, yes, we may be different as far as skin tone, or maybe even sometimes the food that we eat, or the culture that we come up, but at the same time, we are still the same. We're all still humans. You know what I mean? And we still all have feelings for our children, you know, feelings for our parents, and all of these things. So I think it does help in the sense that they see you as a person, regardless of color, you know. And so I think that gives you an opportunity to break down those barriers.
Yes,
you know,
validate your humanity.
Validate your humanity. Right, exactly. So, you know, we're all different, yes, because we all come from different parents and different parts of the world, but at the same time, we're so much the same.
Yes.
And I think if people just take a step and see that, that's the important part. You know, not so much that we're different, it's just so much that we're the same.
Exactly. You know? Absolutely. And this entire compilation of the conversation is hence the meaning and movement behind the World Without Color collection. And that's why I won't stop making them. Because as long as the dialogue continues, this collection will continue. And the process I have is called the creation list. And so when someone wants to buy a doll, my website always says sold out, because I make them. And then
that's why it's always sold out. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I thought that you weren't making them anymore. When I saw that they were all sold out, it's like, okay, she's not making them. Okay.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. Because, you know, and this is the uniqueness of me, that quirky, different, outside the box kind of person, is that when I create them, then I go to my creation list and I say, who's next? And I go to the collector and say, would you like this one? And they say yes or no. Okay. And then if they say, nah, not that one, B, I'll go, okay, no. I go to the next one. They'll be like, absolutely. And then they buy it, and we ship it and get it prepared for them, because it was meant for you. That
explains a lot about what you said about every doll is like for that person. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That process is okay. It is very individual.
Okay. Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely. The ideology as I'm making them, because the process is very lengthy for me, I take my time. Every detail is thought out. How many layers do I think he should have? How much hair rooting for this particular doll should have? What outfit styling? So that's why I have a general, like when you see the dolls on my website, it's just a general layout. So it's not like you can say, I want that doll with that outfit, with that. that's not my creative process, because I may not be able to reproduce that outfit, because sewing's not my strength, but I believe that every part of it, I will have touched every part of it to in my own way bless it for you, because it's my love energy to you. And so if I'm down or I'm upset or I feel restless or I'm not in the right space, I don't touch my dolls. I don't touch a clay that's going to be produced into a doll. I'll practice and I'll practice and practice. But as far as like hand painting this doll because Sally has already put a deposit down, so I need to hurry, that creates anxiety for me. And that's not going to produce my best work for Sally. And with Victor was the last one. I did several of Victor, and I did the deposit, and then I did finish them in the process again. I'm doing my process, and what I realized is that it made collectors like, is she working on it? Is she done? Like, are you okay? Like, and I'm like, guys, it's okay. I'm just being me. And they were fine with it, but I can't keep that going. It was just by God's grace that they were patient, and it was collectors that I've had already. So they knew me and they were okay because they know me and they love me and who I am and what I do. But I didn't want to take that risk for collectors who don't know me, and that would upset them. And then that defeats the whole point of my mission.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I was going to say
so that's when I created the creators list, the creation list.
So how do people know to get onto the list?
They email me.
Are sold out. Okay.
I hope that I explained it correctly on my website, but I'll check again, make sure. But that is the process. So you just email the Angel Doll Company at gmail.com, and you ask to be on the creation list and which doll it is. So whether it's, Vi or Victor, you say, I want to be added, and then and then you're put on the list in order of request. And then the next also, say if this was him, he's my prototype that's in the photos. Then that way too, when the doll is finished, you know what doll you're getting. It's not manufactured that they're all going to look exactly the same, or they're all going to have the same outfit. That's not what you're going to get. So you can look and you're like, I really don't like that outfit, or I think his eyes look funny, or you know what I mean? You can look at it and decide. And if you say, no, I'm going to pass on that one, that's fine, because the next one, that might be that the next collector is like, I cannot believe this doll exists. I'm so excited to get it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So I have a question. Why are all the dolls V?
Victor with the World Without Color, it got tricky. I like the name Vanessa.
I'm happy that that's your name.
I like the name Vanessa.
Perfection.
Right. Victory. Yeah. And then my Greek name is Vasa. And so I decided that we're going to keep it easy. One of the things that happens when you make a lot of dolls and you create a mold of that doll, I write the name of the doll sculpture on the mold. But if you don't remember, because you make so many,
I can see that.
What doll was that? Right. So that's why I always keep the first one, which is my play prototype one. It helps me with my doll portfolio, but it also helps me remember, what doll is that? Because I'm always making them. And a lot of times, like a lot of the collectors, a lot of the audience don't see the stuff that I make, because I do a lot behind the scenes. The people only see this much in the audience opposed to that, but I've done this much, because remember I was sharing with you, I feel like I'm catching up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm always working on it.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Have you worked in any other type of materials before? If you did you like it or not like it?
That's a great question. That is a great question, Georgette. I behind the scenes.
Getting juicy stuff here.
Right, I know, right?
Let me get my pencil.
Behind the scenes, I do all types of clay dolls, paper clay, water-based clay. I do cloth dolls. I dabble in everything behind the scenes. I keep the main thing. The main thing is my silicone, because as a collector, I always wanted dolls, because I love dolls too. So I always wanted dolls not only to look real, but feel real. I needed that connection to happen in my mind. And that's what kept me from resin or more of a vinyl base, even though that was all that was available for the longest time. But for me, it's a big honor to be known as a silicone doll artist. And that's
there aren't as many of yours. There are other doll artists.
Correct. But I do one day, would like to have maybe just try my hand a little bit with the resins, manufacture resins. Just thinking about it, because my motto is that everyone should have an angel. And if everyone should have an angel, then how is everybody going to have one if I'm only making one every second?
You better up your angel making game.
I'm not that great at math, but yes, I can. Yeah, that doesn't add up, but
just a few billion. But who's counting?
Nobody's counting. That's right, Tammy. Who asking? Nobody.
Nobody.
So that's
it's gonna be
thing.
Everybody come over their house. What did I gonna get for Christmas? Angel.
No wings and no wings.
And no wings.
Just gotta believe.
Gotta believe this is an angel. That is
your
so
own
funny.
angel wings.
That is so funny.
So we're doing these shows during COVID. So there are people who are talking to us about their experiences with COVID, and not only from what it was like, just to be in the world during COVID, but also about what it's like to be, your product is held up in another country because of COVID, or all these different things that are happening.
COVID hit everybody very difficult, in a very difficult way, in a very unique way, but still yet in the same way, which was unique in itself. And for me, I have a gallery that was open to people bringing their kids in, and and then I did a little portion where you can paint a friend, so I sculpted these little mini dolls. You can sculpt them yourselves, and then they paint them, and they can take them home the same day, and it was their own little unique thing, and then see my work. And when COVID hit, I couldn't have people in. I couldn't be around people. I didn't know. I wasn't able to open, but yet I still had to pay rent, electric, all these insurance, and really rely heavily on the online component, which really wasn't as much. It was a strength, but it really wasn't, because I didn't need it. And then I had to make that shift.
Right.
Which opened me up more to the international world that I probably wasn't as, strong. So
that's true.
COVID brought a lot of great things, but I lost some things, but I gained some things too at the same time. And it forced me to know that I can do it in my house. Because at first you can pay me to believe I didn't need a studio. I need a studio. I'm an artiste. I need space.
Kind of Asian is an artiste who doesn't have a studio.
Right? You know how long I've been trying to be an artist? Since I was 20.
Give me my space.
Give me my space. COVID hit, I couldn't even get there. COVID hit, and I was in the kitchen, like, okay, guys, can you move the butter?
Exactly.
Right. So it forced me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just amazing how we're being impacted.
Yes, and that's the beauty of dolls, and they bring so much comfort. For me, if somebody say, what's type of doll genre would you classify yourself in? I would call myself a playable doll artist. I'm more than an art doll. All of my dolls are, no, they don't have to, but they're intended to be played with, whether you're changing the eyes, or that's why some of them have wigs and some of them don't, that you can change their clothes, they're posable and playable. I want people to enjoy them. even if it's just to hug them and know that they're not going to break if you drop it.
Right.
All
right.
of those things I take into consideration.
Right.
My newer ones, they come in like plastic doll beds that I hand make them. Because as a collector, what if my room gets flooded and my doll's waterlogged now because it's in a cardboard box? You know, I think of those things, right?
Yes.
That I want to damage, I want to protect it, you know,
Right.
because I'm a collector too at heart.
It's funny that you were talking about how you love dolls that you can hold and you can feel, because I remember reading on your bio, you were saying that dolls have always been there for you, whether you're sad or you're scared or you're angry, and that there's always a doll to comfort you. And it's so interesting how those things follow you throughout your life, you know, and kind of get cemented into who you are, and then it's brought out in these dolls. Like sometimes we don't think about it consciously, but subconsciously, it's this little line that just, you know what I mean, that just follows who you are. And that's why you probably create dolls that comfort people. And that's why it's important for you to be able to touch them and play with them, because that's a comfort thing that has happened for you in your life, you know.
That's absolutely the truth. That's the absolute truth. I remember the first doll that I had that was so special. Like I've had a lot, like back in the 70s with Wonder Woman. She was amazing. She was so amazing. She had a little outfit on and she was fabulous. But the one that really was like, was the Sasha doll. I have so many Sashas now.
Which Sasha? The Sasha Bratz?
The Sasha, right before that, she was a little brown one. She had the long hair, actually like this cut now. She had the brown hair, you know what I'm talking about? And she was a little brown and she just moved, and she had the hands like this. And she just moved her arms and her legs, and it was together with
is that Sasha? Are you talking about Sasha Morgan?
More Shots of Bratz, the one out of Germany. But they're from like the 70s. That 70s line. Now I can't remember. Like I know the Bratz came out with a version of them, but I only had that one.
Was she an 18-inch doll?
Yeah, she's 16 inches.
She's 16?
Yep, she's 16 inches.
And they made Cora and Sasha?
Yes.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know who, yes.
You got it, Tammy, yes. When I saw that doll, she was the bee's knees. She was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She had brown skin and she had hair like this.
Yeah.
My family growing up, my name is Sasha or Sasa. So I think that's how they gave me that doll, because they thought the connection. I just thought she was amazing. And I played with that thing until she was just falling apart. I was like, oh no, she's falling apart. Oh no.
I got some Sashas too. I got the baby Sashas.
You got one of these? Yes. I got some. It's amazing how you connect with a certain look or move or the way they feel or whatever it is. But I know exactly what you're saying is that, you know, everything ties in together and how you go on this journey and you follow the artist with their journey. And that's what I'm hoping to capture with my work, is that people are just going along this journey with me. And seeing where I am right now and what I'm doing and where I'm at and how I'm feeling, what's happening in my worldview right now, and want to take that ride. Hope they enjoy it too, like I do. So
that's great. Yes, this is great. This has been such a wonderful interview. It's been beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, and we want to thank you for joining us on In the Doll World. So how should people reach out to you? What, via email or website?
Yes, check me out on my website at www.theangeldollcompany.com. And then you can see what's happening with me now. Then email me at theangeldollcompany@gmail.com if you would like to be added to my creation list and see what doll I'm making at that time. So a lot of times people won't see the new one that I just did, because that belongs to somebody else. I may take pictures, but I usually take pictures and I give them to that collector for their because it's their angel.
Nice.
You know, I usually don't share it with everybody else. I share my what I would consider my prototypes, and I'll change their clothes and I'll market this one. But the one that I actually make for that collector, most people don't see except for that collector.
Okay.
And I think it makes it special. It's
Yeah.
almost like it's our personal relationship that I don't share with the world. It's just between them and I.
Thank
And you can
so
follow
much
me
for
on
joining us.
Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and
What's
you can
Instagram and Facebook?
The Angel Doll
Accounts?
Company.
Okay, you're the Angel Doll Company everywhere. Okay, that
The
sounds
Angel Doll
great.
Company everywhere. Thank you so much, ladies. I am
Thank
so
you.
grateful to be invited to do this interview. And
we are
it's been
so
such a
sorry.
Yeah,
we're so excited to have you join us. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, it really
Great
has
interview.
been a wonderful interview. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for being
Thank
here
you.
with us on In the Doll World. We're excited to have you.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you. Take
Bye
good
bye,
care of
Vanessa.
yourself.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.